It doesn't need to be political to share in my grief or in the anguish that the Israeli people are feeling. To demand the release of the hostages is not an act of politics, nor is it a cry for war. It is an act of love and a cry for humanity. And love is the only thing that can repair our shattered hearts and bring us back together in the name of peace.
Welcome to a very special edition of Israel Under Fire. I'm Erick Stakelbeck. I'm in Dallas, but tonight we are taking you to the nation's capital, Washington, D.C., for a massive march for Israel. Now, folks, this is long overdue and much needed. I say that because over the past several weeks, you've probably seen it. Certainly, we've shown you the clips, the disturbing clips here on TBN of these massive pro-Hamas, anti-Israel, openly anti-Semitic rallies. Well, this massive rally today in D.C. was a much-needed response to that. Some estimates say at least 100,000 people are converging on the National Mall. Jews, Christians united together in support of Israel, standing with the Jewish people for such a time as this. Again, a time when anti-Semitism is skyrocketing to levels we haven't seen since World War II. It is that serious. And here's the state of play real quick before we go to our speakers. By the way, there are several speakers, including Pastor John Hagee, who you know very well from here on TBN, a bipartisan list because support for Israel should be something that unites us across partisan lines in an increasingly polarized, obviously, political climate. We should all be able to agree that Israel is a rock-solid ally of the United States, a beacon for freedom and democracy in the heart of the Middle East. And that message will be made clear today. But I mentioned the state of play right now. October 7th, hard to believe, over 1 month ago, that heinous massacre, the greatest massacre of the Jewish people since the Holocaust. Well, right now, the Israel Defense Forces are in Gaza City, Hamas's main power base, and they are making major strides. It looks as if Hamas, this vicious Iran-backed terror group, really a death cult, is on the ropes right now as the IDF continues to push the offensive. We have, number one, hundreds of thousands of Palestinian civilians fleeing from the south to the north. Now, over the past 5 weeks or so, we've had persistent, constant calls by the Israel Defense Forces to the Palestinian people to flee, to evacuate that Gaza City area. Thankfully, there are signs right now that that's exactly what's happening. Again, hundreds of thousands of Palestinians fleeing to the south because, in essence, folks, the IDF has cut Gaza in two. There is now southern Gaza and northern Gaza, and the bulk of the fighting right now, again, is taking place in the northern half of the Strip, in particular in and around Gaza City. Now, two things to keep a very close eye on, and we've been doing that here at TBN and on the Israel Under Fire program. Number one, the hospitals in Gaza City. Now, Hamas is using hospitals. This tells you really what they're all about, right? Using civilians, patients, doctors, nurses as human shields, using hospitals throughout Gaza as their main command and control centers. There is one hospital in particular that we all need to keep an eye on. It is called Al-Shifa Hospital. It's located in Gaza City, and Hamas's main command and control center is literally beneath this hospital, including some top Hamas leaders. Now, the Israel Defense Forces in recent days have been encircling this hospital, and it looks as if there will be a moment of reckoning there soon. That's number one. Number two, to keep an eye on the northern front. We've been talking about this weekly here on Israel Under Fire. Hezbollah, what happens there? Look, Hezbollah, another Iran-backed terror proxy, is a force that is much more powerful, magnitudes more powerful than Hamas. You saw the damage Hamas did on October 7th, some 1,200 Israelis, mostly civilians, slaughtered. Well, Hezbollah is much more powerful, more well-equipped even than that. So it's become an unsustainable situation to Israel's north. Hezbollah perched on Israel's northern border, some 150,000 rockets and missiles pointed at every inch of the world's one and only Jewish state. It is unsustainable, again, folks, after Israel decisively crushes Hamas in Gaza. And I believe that is what we are seeing the beginnings of, that Hamas will no longer be able to threaten Israel. I believe Israel will need to turn its attention to Hezbollah in the north. And you can rest assured that in Jerusalem right now and in Tel Aviv, in the war cabinet meetings led by Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, they are discussing exactly that. Do you crush Hamas and leave Hezbollah to fight another day, the much more powerful adversary in Hezbollah? That's the big question, I believe, right now, not only long term, but in the short term, facing Israeli decision makers. In recent days, we have had major flare-ups along that Lebanon border. Just on Sunday, we saw 21 Israeli civilians wounded and one killed in a Hezbollah rocket attack. So things are heating up to the north. And remember, Iran really surrounds Israel on all sides with what I would call a ring of fire. These terror proxies of the Iranian regime, armed to the teeth with rockets, missiles, and drones. Israel's fighting one ring right now. Next, it may be Hezbollah. But in the meantime, we are going to the March for Israel in Washington, D.C. Our first speaker, I believe, is Tovah Feldshuh, an actress. And you will see people from both sides of the political aisle today, actors, actresses, all coming together, united with one voice, standing for Israel. Let's go to the National Mall in D.C.
My name is Tovah Feldshuh. My Hebrew name is Tovah Feldshuh. And my Starbucks name is Tovah Feldshuh. What a thrill it is for me to be here. I've played big houses, but ain't never played anything like this. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We stand here in the tens of thousands today, and usually, even if you have 10 Jews, you have 10,000 opinions. But today, in the thousands, we stand as one to say, Am Yisrael Chai. The people of Israel live. I stand here short. I was a runner for 40 years, but tall, for the almost 200 innocent citizens of Israel, well, almost 200 Israeli children of Israel who are now orphaned, for the 240 innocent citizens of Israel still held in captivity by Hamas. I stand here for the kidnapped babies and the Holocaust survivors abducted and hidden somewhere in Gaza. We stand here together as the yahrzeit candles for over 1,400 slaughtered in the sovereign state of Israel only because they were Jews. Sound familiar? We know that to lose a life is to lose a universe. And as we stand shoulder to shoulder, we transform thousands of our yahrzeit candles into one supernova of light and hope, illuminating the memories of those we have lost and shedding light on the murderers who brought them to their death. We stand here firm against global anti-Semitism. We stand here firm in confrontation of anti-Semitism here in these United States. We stand here to say enough. Maspek, maspik. Our hearts also go out to the Palestinian people who have been used by and suffered at the hands of Hamas to further Hamas's savage agenda. We are now engaged in a battle reaching beyond any Arab-Israeli conflict. We are engaged in a battle fighting for a civilized world. We stand here knowing that the halls of our universities should be havens of enlightenment and moral clarity and not places where Jewish students, Jewish faculty, or any minority feels outcast and afraid of being physically abused. We know college and university presidents, and a righteous one is here today from Dillard, but we know the college and university presidents, if you remain weak, if you remain silent, you are complicit. As Einstein said, the world will not be destroyed by those who do evil, but by those who watch them and do nothing. However, since October 7th, amidst the darkness, we've seen glimmers of light. World landmarks lit up in blue and white from New York to Miami, from Paris to Prague and Baku, showing our beloved and brave Israel that she does not stand alone. As Golda Meir, the most important person I've ever had the honor to play, wow, I think Golda may be here today. As Prime Minister Golda Meir said, some people love you, and some people love you and show up. You show up, and that makes all the difference. Indeed, the people of Israel live. So breathe with me now and repeat with me 3 times. Am Yisrael Chai. Am Yisrael Chai. Am Yisrael Chai.
In interviewing families of hostages last week here on TBN, it's almost hard to know even what to ask. What do you say when these brave people, their loved ones, have been dragged into captivity by a bloodthirsty terror group? I said, God, give me the words, and he did. And he's giving these families of the hostages words today, the words to say that we need to hear in Washington, D.C. at the March for Israel. Again, for such a time as this, picture this: 6 of your cousins kidnapped and taken into captivity in Gaza. That is what Alana Zeitchik is dealing with right now, her and her family. She's at the National Mall speaking about this. Let's go and take a look at what she has to say.
My name is Alana Zeitchik, and I'm here to tell you about love. On October 7th, my cousin, Sharon, her husband, David, their 3-year-old twins, Emma and Yuli, my cousin, Danielle, her 5-year-old daughter, Amelia, all 6 of them were brutally kidnapped from kibbutz Nir Oz. While the kibbutz was ravaged by Hamas, they hid in their bomb shelter for hours until it filled with smoke and they could not hide any longer, at which point Sharon sent a haunting voice note to her family group chat. We're not going to make it out of this. We love you. The pain I have experienced since they were taken has been so sharp, it follows my every breath. I wake up each morning to remember this truth. My family is being held hostage by terrorists. I am here with you because I love my family, and I promised I would scream to the ends of the earth for them. This unwavering love of family is the heart of what it means to be Jewish, and it is, more importantly, the heart of what it means to be human. But for too many in the West, the suffering of hostage families like mine has become a footnote, collateral damage in service of some perceived higher universal truth. For too many, it feels like to care about one family, to love one child, is to diminish the suffering of another. But the simple human truth is that you don't have to choose. You can abhor the suffering of Palestinian families and the suffering of Israeli families like mine. You can call for peace and the immediate return of the innocent men, women, and children who were violently taken from us. It doesn't need to be political to share in my grief or in the anguish that the Israeli people are feeling. To demand the release of the hostages is not an act of politics, nor is it a cry for war. It is an act of love and a cry for humanity. And love is the only thing that can repair our shattered hearts and bring us back together in the name of peace. Thank you.
You know, as I listen to those powerful words by a family member of the hostages, 6 cousins held captive right now in Gaza, I think of the possibility, and I pray for the possibility, of a miraculous hostage rescue. Genesis 14 outlines how Abraham and 318 of his well-trained men made their way up north to rescue his nephew Lot from captivity. Lot was taken hostage by the pagan Canaanite kings. Abraham and his men prevailed. Lot was rescued in a miraculous biblical rescue that took place in the land of Israel. We are praying for that, folks, once again. Right now, God's arm is not too short. He can do this. Let's head back to